Hi, this is Mrs. Martin. I am excited to be giving a book talk today about some great books that we have available in our library. Each time I'm giving a book talk, just know that I'm trying to share with you enough about a book to persuade you to consider reading it. I know some of them might sound interesting to you while others may not, so I know not every book is going to be a good fit for every person, and that's okay. On each of the slides that I'm sharing with you, there is going to be information with the title of the book, the author, the cover of the book so that you know what it looks like, and then also usually a few pictures that hint at the story. Also on each slide, you will see the genre or category that this book fits into in our library in the top right corner. Just know that these books are only a few of the many titles that are available in our library. We have over 18,000 different books in our collection. So know that there are so many others that you might be interested in reading. This is just a few that you could add to your reading list. Let's go ahead and get started. The first book I'm sharing with you today comes from our humor section in fiction, and it's called Ungifted by Gordon Korman. The word gifted has never really been a word used to describe Donovan Curtis. It's usually more like, don't try this at home. This is a kid who tends to be known as a prankster, and when one of his pranks at his middle school goes terribly wrong, he gets pulled into the principal's office. Poor Donovan is just certain that this time it's really going to be bad news, and it is. The principal tells him, Donovan, I've had it. I can't handle this anymore. You're going to have to go into detention for a number of weeks to make up for all of this mess that you left. Instead, though, because there's a mix-up with the paperwork, Donovan doesn't end up in detention and instead ends up in the Academy of Scholastic Distinction, which is a special program for gifted and talented students. Okay, so this isn't what Donovan had intended, but there really couldn't be a better hideout for him than this. He figures he's really good at tricking people anyway, and he can manage to fool people whose IQs are above genius level. That, though, becomes harder and harder the longer he's in there because these very smart individuals are figuring out that Donovan is not that bright, at least not in the ways that they are. Can he manage to fool them? You've got to read Ungifted by Gordon Korman to find out. A fabulous, funny read, and we do have the book sequel, Super Gifted, as well. Terror at Bottle Creek by Gordon Korman might look like a horror story from its cover, but this is in our adventure section because it is a survival story. Court is our main character. He's 13, and he is in the middle of a life or death wilderness adventure. Court's dad is an expert on hunting and swamp lore in Alabama. He's been teaching Court really everything he knows about how to survive out there, everything from the environmental aspects to the animals. But there's a deadly Category 3 storm, hurricane type style, that comes in to Alabama, and Court has to put all of his skills and his bravery to the test. Well, one catastrophe seems to lead to another, and Court and two of his neighbor girls have to face the storm as best they can, and it doesn't seem to let up. Everything is leading to another thing, and there is so much suspense and adventure. If you love an edge-of-your-seat read filled with suspense, you should write down Terror at Bottle Creek. This book, even though I realize now on my slide I have the wrong author, Gordon Korman here. Sorry, I obviously didn't change this from the last slide. It should be written by Watt Key, so you can put down Key for your author, Key. Sorry about that. It's an adventure. Our next book is found in realistic fiction, One for the Murphys by Linda Mullally Hunt. Carly can take a lot, and she has in her 12 years of life so far. She lived with her mom in Las Vegas, and her mom loves to have fun. Well, that's great, except when it comes to being a parent, you sometimes have to have rules, and you sometimes have to do the parenting. And Carly's mom hasn't really been the best at that. And as a result, Carly has been bounced around from different foster families over and over again, and her mom really isn't someone who can take care of her right now. She expects that when she's placed with the Murphy family, it's going to be just like all the others. She's not going to fit in, they're going to decide they don't want her, and she's going to move on to yet another place. Well, she's sort of blindsided because in this situation, the family seems to accept her, and not only accept her, but really care about her. Mrs. Murphy in particular is showing Carly in all kinds of ways that they want her to be a part of their family. The Murphy family has 3 boys, 2 of whom are very welcoming. One is not quite so sure about Carly, but Carly begins to let down her guard the longer that she's with the Murphys. Is it possible that this could be the place where she'll find a home? One for the Murphys by Linda Mullally Hunt. Take a look in our realistic fiction shelves for that book. Football Genius by Tim Green is in sports. This is the story of a kid who has an incredible gift to predict football plays before they even happen. He can predict any position, any player, any team. And when his mom gets a job working for the Atlanta Falcons, Troy sees an opportunity to use this gift he has. Troy and his best friends come up with this plan. They're going to get the attention of the star linebacker, Seth Holloway, and they're going to get Seth's playing that hasn't been so hot quite yet, and the team that hasn't been doing so great, the Falcons, but they're going to, put it together with Troy's genius gift here. And they know that if the Falcons will listen, and if Seth will listen, Troy can use this gift to make that team unstoppable. The thing is, at least at first, it all sounds crazy, right? Can you imagine going up to a star quarterback or a football team manager and saying, hey, by the way, I can predict what the other team is going to do before they do it, and you could use that to help your team? You'd be laughed out of the stadium. Take a look at Football Genius by Tim Green or any of his books if you love sports. I've had lots of students already asking this year for great horror or spooky, scary reads. The Ghost of Crutchfield Hall by Mary Downing Hahn. 12-year-old Florence boards a crowded horse-drawn coach in London and is looking forward to a new life with her great-uncle and aunt at Crutchfield Hall. It's an old manor house in the English countryside, and she figures it has to be better than the place she was living before, a London orphanage where she's lived since her parents' death. What Florence doesn't expect is the ghost of her cousin Sophia, who haunts the rooms and dimly lit hallways of Crutchfield and's coming up with a plan to use Florence to help her achieve her murderous goals. Will Florence be able to convince the others in the house of this danger and stop Sophia, this ghost cousin, before it's too late? This is just right when it comes to a perfect ghost story, and Mary Downing Hahn knows how to write about ghosts. Take a look for any of her books in our mystery section. The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan is very popular in our fantasy section. If you've not yet read this series, highly recommended by so many students. This book has something for everyone. It's got adventure, it has mystery, it has humor, and of course it has the terrific mythology and fantasy elements that so many readers love. Percy Jackson, our main character, is a good kid, but he can't seem to focus on his schoolwork or, unfortunately, control his temper. And lately, being away at boarding school is only getting worse. Percy could have sworn he saw his pre-algebra teacher turn into a monster and try to kill him. I can imagine that would make it hard to focus on school. Well, then he learns his mom's been keeping this kind of big secret. She sends him to Camp Half-Blood, a summer camp for demigods, and he learns that the father he never knew is Poseidon, god of the sea. As a result, there's this huge mystery that's unfolding, and he meets all these other kids who are also demigods, and Percy sets out on a quest across the United States to reach the gates of the underworld. And this is only the beginning of a fantastic series filled with adventure and suspense and lots of funny moments too, let's be honest. The Lightning Thief is the first book. Take a look under Reardon on the fantasy shelves. The Last Dog on Earth by Daniel Ehrenhaft is in science fiction and reminds me a lot of the movie Zootopia, if you saw that one years ago. This is about a kid named Logan who hates everybody except for his dog Jack. And Jack is not a big people dog except for with Logan. So they're really, truly best friends. Jack, though, is in terrible danger because there's a mysterious disease sweeping across the country that is leading dogs to become infected and turn into these vicious predators, making them just, rage, basically. And it's obviously, for obvious reasons, scaring people incredibly. Jack isn't infected, but it isn't keeping her safe at all. Jack, even being healthy at this moment, is in danger all the time because people are just shooting dogs on sight and then asking questions later. They are assuming that dogs are infected. Logan's own parents even, who own this dog, they want to hand Jack over to the authorities before she gets infected at all. Logan is not going to let that happen. So Logan and Jack take off. They're on the run. They're trying to find a safe place to go. This is a very quick read in science fiction. Terrific story. Take a look at this one, The Last Dog on Earth. Our last book, Efren Divided by Ernesto Cisneros, is in realistic fiction. It's brand new to the library this fall, and I'm going to let the book trailer share a little bit about this fantastic read.
When you have twin toddler siblings with both parents working long hours, it's hard to find a quiet corner to read. But when Efren's mother is taken away by ICE and deported to Mexico, he is at a loss of what to do. No matter how long she worked, his mother always kept everything together. While his father works overtime finding a way to get her back, Efren finds himself taking care of his younger siblings and trying to keep up with school. Can Efren hang on to friendships, his family, and hopes of an education? Does he have a voice? And does it matter? Find out in Efren Divided by Ernesto Cisneros.
A terrific book to take a look at as it's brand new in the library. There's also in the back of the book a glossary of Spanish words included. And I love the way that the author decided to use both Spanish and English to tell this story about Efren and his family. That ends the book talk and the books that I wanted to share with you. Just a reminder again that there are so many ways that you can find a great book to read in our library. Remember that you can search our catalog. You can take a look at displays down in the library, ask friends for recommendations, or of course just come down and take a look at what we have. Thanks so much and happy reading.